Hello, my name is Wesley O'Connor and I conduct Tuba Christmas here in the Mahoning Valley. Because of the pandemic, our concert this year is going to have to be virtual, and unfortunately I will not be able to conduct this year. However, here's a little something I threw together for you. It's called Santa Wants a Tuba for Christmas. I would like to wish everyone a safe and healthy holiday season, and we hope to see everyone back again when Tuba Christmas is back strong as ever at Stambaugh Auditorium. Until then, here's Santa Wants a Tuba for Christmas. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Santa gives toys to good girls and boys. He's done it for years and years. But who would have thought that Santa has got a special wish of his own? Santa wants a tuba for Christmas. He knows playing tuba is fun. Santa wants a tuba for Christmas, but who's gonna give him one? Santa wants a tuba for Christmas, a bright shiny tuba to play. Santa wants a tuba for Christmas, so please won't you send one his way? Santa knows the tuba blows the jolliest sound you'll hear. What he hopes to see waiting under his tree is a tuba to toot when he's finished his brew. Santa wants a tuba for Christmas. He never got a present before. Santa wants a tuba for Christmas. It's all that he's ever asked for. It's all that he's ever asked for. Take it, Santa. Santa wants a tuba for Christmas. He never got a present before. Santa wants a tuba for Christmas. It's all that he's ever asked for. It's all that he's ever asked for.
Good afternoon. I'd like to welcome you to the 22nd annual Youngstown Tuba Christmas. I'd like to give you a little bit of history on the event before we play a little more. My name is Bob Antonucci. I'm the band director at Louisville High School, and I also teach tuba and euphonium at Westminster College in Pennsylvania. So the first Tuba Christmas was in 1974, and it was held in New York City at Rockefeller Center on the ice rink stage. It was organized by Harvey Phillips, and it was organized in honor of his mentor and teacher, William Bell. And tuba players know Harvey Phillips and William Bell. They're legends on our instrument. They kind of put the tuba on the map, if you will. And Harvey Phillips organized this event just to promote the instrument, and we'll talk more about that later. Over 300 tuba and euphonium players showed up that day in 1974, and they were all dressed like Santa Claus, and they met in Rockefeller Center, and they played Christmas carols, much like you're hearing today. If you know tuba in the Youngstown area, you know the name John Turk. John Turk was my tuba teacher at Youngstown State University. He taught there for many years. He also taught Mr. O'Connor, and his legacy on the instrument is still felt today. So I definitely couldn't do this today without giving him a shout out. And John Turk was at that first event. And he said, when he talks about it, he said that they didn't think it would happen again. They thought it was just a one-time deal. Like, there's no way you would ever get this many tuba players together again to do this. And what happened was, we're still doing it, and events like this are being held all over the world. So what they started in 1974 is still happening today. So, and you get to be part of that. So we're definitely happy we get to carry on the tradition, especially in 2020. So we're going to continue our program today. The next three selections are The First Noel, Good King Wenceslas, and Go Tell It on the Mountain. Hopefully our performance today is a good start to your holiday season. From the comfort of your own home, you can have some hot chocolate. If you have your tree up, you can kind of sit in front of the tree and let us put you in the Christmas spirit. Thank you. So a little bit about Tuba Christmas in the Mahoning Valley. So, it's kind of like name dropping, but these people were really important and are really important to this event. So 22 years ago, Teresa Kirkland worked at the Eastwood Mall for the Eastwood Mall. She kind of organized the first Tuba Christmas in the Valley. And it was held at the Eastwood Mall, and it was held in their community room. So I still picture it was down one of the concourses kind of off to the right, and it was a really small room, and there were a handful of us that gathered, and we had the first Tuba Christmas, and the people that watched kind of just sat around in the community room. Well, after a couple years, we outgrew the community room, and they moved us to the concourse, kind of like center concourse, and we outgrew that. And we were also actually kind of off to the side too in a hallway there, and we outgrew that. So eventually we outgrew the Eastwood Mall. So we moved to the Expo Center, and we had the event there for a couple of years. Well, if you know anything about this area, the Expo Center doesn't exist anymore. It's been torn down. So we were looking for a home, and the event had grown so big that we needed a concert hall, really. That was the only place that we could have it, and Stambaugh Auditorium agreed to house the event. And it's been there, I believe, for the past 6 years. So we're really grateful for Stambaugh Auditorium for hosting this event and helping us to keep it going. And I have to give a shout out, you met him earlier in the opening sequence, but to Mr. Wes O'Connor, he's the band director at Austin Town. He's the conductor of this, and he's unable to be here this year, so I'm happy to do it in his place. But I know he's excited to be back again next year, so I know that Wes and Teresa worked for a long time to keep this going. So we miss you, Wes, and we're thinking about you. All right, our next set has O Little Town of Bethlehem, the Wassail Song, and Joy to the World. Thank you, Stephen and Elizabeth. That was great. We're going to continue our portion of the program with We Three Kings, Angels We Have Heard on High, and Lo, How a Rose Ere Blooming. So, like I said earlier, this event started in 1974. Harvey Phillips dedicating it to his mentor and teacher, Bill Bell. You have to understand the tuba is a young instrument. If you look at the instruments of the orchestra and the band, the tuba and the saxophone, they're the babies of the instruments. So in the 1900s, like the early 1900s, mid 1900s, when these guys were really achieving great things on the tuba, people didn't really think of it as a solo instrument, as a melodic instrument. They kind of thought about it as the instrument playing like oompas in the marching band, bum, 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 or like whole notes underneath a chorale. So part of this is just like, hey, tubas can play melodies, we can play harmonies, we can play beautiful things too, not just background music. So that's part of what this legacy is all about. And the holidays give us a great opportunity to do that. Part of it too is to talk to you a little bit about the instruments. Because the tuba and euphonium are relatively young, there's kind of a lot of hybrids out there. Now, because we have a smaller group, you don't have as many of the different instruments that you normally would have, but I'd like to point them out for a minute. And I'm going to have the ladies and gentlemen hold their horns up as I talk about them. So the tuba comes in different sizes. So you have small, you have medium, and you have large. And the concert tubas, we have 3/4 tubas, which are on the smaller side. If you could hold up the 3/4 tubas, 3/4 tuba, there we go. It's still a tuba, it's just a little bit smaller than, say, a 4/4 tuba. Can we have the 4/4 concert tubas hold up? All right, and then we have the big ones, the 5/4. These are going to put can we have those? Yeah, you might be thinking to yourself, they kind of all look the same. They're slightly different, but those 5/4 will put a nice bottom on an orchestra. So those are the concert tubas. Now, normally we would have sousaphones in the back, and sousaphones are what you would see in marching band. I personally think they look like they came out of something Dr. Seuss, like a Dr. Seuss book. They're kind of funky looking. Sometimes they're metal, sometimes they're fiberglass. They kind of wrap around you, and they have the bell that points straight ahead. We don't have any of those here today. We also have the baritone horn and the euphonium. They're in the tuba family. The ones we have here today all have the bells that point up. We don't have any fancy ones with maybe 2 bells or bells that point straight ahead. But if you have a euphonium, can you hold your euphonium up? All right, it looks like we have all euphoniums. No one has a baritone horn. But a baritone horn would look like a euphonium. You might think, well, I kind of think it's a euphonium. It just has 3 valves, and the bore size is cylindrical instead of conical, and those are fancy music terms. But it's called Tuba Christmas, but the euphoniums are technically in the family with us, so I guess technically it should be called Tuba Euphonium Christmas, but I guess that wouldn't sound very festive, so we're going to stick with Tuba Christmas. But we love the euphoniums. They're a very important part of this ensemble. So that's a little bit about the instruments themselves. Our next set has O Christmas Tree, Hark the Herald Angels Sing, Green Sleeves, and Carol of the Bells.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Orlando.
And I'm Stephen Orlando.
And we are music educators in the Valley. When I was in high school, I've always played euphonium, and my band director had me audition for Stambaugh Youth Band. That was my first real experience being in Stambaugh constantly. I had been to a couple concerts maybe growing up, but not a whole lot. So.
And when I was a senior at Girard High School, my band director nominated me and told me to try out for the Stambaugh Youth Concert Band. He knew I was wanting to proceed in a career of music education. He thought it was a good stepping stone into that. It was really my first experience with Stambaugh Auditorium, period, overall.
Our story begins with us being both at Stambaugh together. Euphoniums sit in front of the tubas. It happened to be a week where the rest of the euphoniums were not there. And although we were given a couple breaks here and there for being able to talk, I turned around and talked to the tubas, and Stephen actually wouldn't talk to me. A week later, we had our auditions for Honors Band, and we ran back into each other there, and we started having conversation finally at that point. It was through Honors Band that he invited me to Tuba Christmas. an honors band was hosted at Stambaugh.
Yeah, I had been doing Tuba Christmas for a couple years. I had started when I was in 8th grade, and this was her junior year of high school, and she had not heard of it, so I'd already been doing it for like 4 or 5 years, and I just thought it would be a nice way to continue what we were doing, playing music together.
Most all of our concerts for our whole career were at Stambaugh.
YSU concert band, YSU wind ensemble,
YSU chorus.
After they closed down the Eastwood Expo Center, they decided to move it to a more larger, nicer platform in a way, and Stambaugh Auditorium basically offered their venue as a place for the ballad. I came up with this plan that it would be really nice in a way to plan our engagement through Tuba Christmas, since that was our first date, and I spoke with Wes O'Connor, who is our director every year for Tuba Christmas, and I had it all laid out and planned with them. We always knew we had this little special group, Santa Wants a Tuba for Christmas, that our professor from YSU would always perform with the group, and I started singing with that group, and I used that time after the song as a time to propose in front of everybody.
We got married a year later, so we got married November 21st of 15. We haven't missed Tuba Christmas yet. Stephen has gotten to direct to special, guest conductor. There we go. Doing a guest conduct twice now. Well, now we've been married for 5 years, together 13, have a daughter, 3 years old. But hopefully we'll get to play when she's older too.
I'm really appreciative to the musicians that were able to make it out today. I know that it's tough with everything going on. It's tough to do live music, and I appreciate this group to work with. They were a great group of people. I'd like to recognize the schools that were represented, because a lot of these individuals are still in school or teaching. So I'm gonna read some names of some area schools that are represented today. If I say the name of your school, you could stand up. I might be standing in your way, but you could still stand up. We have Canfield High School, we have Howland High School, we have Hubbard High School, we have Ursuline High School, we have Youngstown State University, we have Ohio University, we have Mahoning Valley High School, we have Gibsonburg High School, and we have Lowellville High School. So all of those schools are represented here today. And I would ask for a hand. I guess we could have a hand. Well, let's have a hand for it. Yeah. Typically at this event, we give prizes to individuals for various things, and we did that today. So we have the most decorated euphonium. That goes to Kendall from Hubbard. Kendall, would you hold your euphonium up in the air? Did I get Kendall? Hold up your euphonium there, bud. There you go. Most decorated euphonium. We have the most decorated tubaist in the back row. Jimmy, stand up. Now, typically this event will have kids like from middle school age to people well into retirement. Obviously, due to the circumstances we're in right now, our age range is a lot more limited. But our youngest member is Sam. Sam is a freshman in high school. Sam, would you stand up? From Canfield. And then our most experienced, let's say our most veteran musician is Dan Korfman, and he's from Gibsonburg High School. Dan, if you would stand up, I'm going to step away. And Dan is actually, he's been doing Tuba Christmas the longest. This is his 31st Tuba Christmas. And next to him is Stephen. Stephen has been doing this 27 years, so Stephen, you should stand up too. That's a lot of Tuba Christmases, and that, you know, we have, as musicians, it's nice to play for people, be it in person or online, but we also like to just come and play together. So you can see that for the number of years, and you heard Stephen and Elizabeth and Wes, how important it is to the musicians. So I appreciate all the individuals and the musicians behind me. It was fun to work with them today. We had a lot of fun, so thank you. Our next set, our quote-unquote final set, has Foom Foom Foom, Silent Night, and We Wish You a Merry Christmas. And then we have one more tune after that. So this is Foom Foom Foom, Silent Night, and We Wish You a Merry Christmas. So if you've been to any Tuba Christmases here at Stambaugh or even at Eastwood Mall with Mr. O'Connor, he has a tradition of doing We Wish You a Merry Christmas several times, and he likes to demonstrate to the audience that the tuba, everyone thinks it can't play fast or technical. So Mr. O'Connor will have the tuba and euphoniums play it like they played it now. Then he'll have them go really fast, and then he'll have them go like super warp speed fast. I'm not going to do the super warp speed fast. I'm just going to go fast. So we're going to do that same thing, and in honor of Mr. O'Connor, we're going to go fast. And we're going to wait till next year for him to go the super lightning warp speed. So this is We Wish You a Merry Christmas again, but showing that tuba players could play fast too. Well, that brings us to the end of our program this afternoon, and I want to say what a pleasure it's been doing this for you this afternoon. I would be remiss if I did not thank the Stambaugh Auditorium management and staff. As a performing musician, in addition to a teacher, most of us don't have any places to perform at. Most performances are not existing. Most musicians don't have a venue or an opportunity to play together. So the fact that the management at Stambaugh Auditorium was able to arrange this for us to do safely, we really appreciate that. Thank you very much. And I am not affiliated with Stambaugh Auditorium, so I feel comfortable saying this. I know that all performing arts venues are in trying times, much like many people. So if you're able, I know there's a place on the webpage to make a donation to help out, and I know that that would be greatly appreciated. So if you're able to do that, I know that Stambaugh Auditorium would appreciate that. Okay, like I said, that brings us to the end of our program. Tuba Christmas ends with Jingle Bells, but it's a cool tuba arrangement of it. So we're going to play you out with Jingle Bells. Thank you. Thank you. We have an encore. Everyone up? Merry Christmas. Thank you.